Firefighters in southern Kentucky say many of the fires they've battled lately out in the woods have been the result of people simply being careless.
A new program alerts Kentuckians to scams popping up around the state.
And the White House is proposing new rules for airlines that lose your luggage.
This is WKYT News at 5:30.
Good evening to you, and thanks so much for watching WKYT. Firefighters in southern Kentucky have been busy this past week battling several fires that have popped up in wooded areas.
And most of the fires have happened in the southern part of Laurel County near the community of Lilly. Officials say that several of those fires started because someone was being careless. WKYT's Phil Pendleton has more from fire officials who are urging people to be more careful in this extremely dry weather.
And I am standing off of Slate Ridge Road here in the southern part of Laurel County. This is one of the areas where firefighters were called to on Tuesday. Multiple woods and grass fires being reported, burning several acres yesterday. Firefighters tell me that they believe most of these fires were caused by people simply being careless.
The last couple days have been very busy. The weather's hot, the wind's picking up. We've got a lot of illegal burns going on, people burning trash, garbage.
Volunteers on the Lilly Fire Department were called away from their jobs and homes 3 times within a 5-hour period on Tuesday.
You have to know which way to get ahead of the fire to be able to fight it.
The fires only burned grass and trees, but the flames did get dangerously close to some other places.
We had a couple yesterday that was close to structures and homes and outbuildings and things like that, but we were able to keep everything under control.
Fire officials remind me that if you live within 150 feet of a wood or a grass line, it is prohibited for you to do any kind of burning, and also that you are not allowed to do any kind of burning except between the hours of 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. unless the local county judge executive has issued a countywide burn ban. In Laurel County, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.
West Knox Fire Department, the Kentucky Division of Forestry, and the Laurel County Sheriff's Office also responded. No injuries were reported, so we definitely need some rain. Yeah. Another, though, warm and sunny October day here in the Bluegrass.
But we do have some big changes on the way. WKYT Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey joins us now with more on your forecast, and we certainly need that rain.
Yeah, we do. And you know what? You'd be surprised, guys, at how many folks on my Twitter feed are saying, yeah, bring on some colder weather. I guess you like the time of year to act like it should be fall. It's not acting the part today. Low and mid-80s, most of central and eastern Kentucky. That's a record for Lexington at 85 degrees on the day. Mix of sun and clouds showing up. More clouds on the northern horizon where we've had a couple of scattered showers and some thunderstorms. Look at those big storms, though, just to the north of the Ohio River. I'll tell you what, if you're traveling northbound on 75 toward Covington and Cincinnati, you're going to run into some big boomers over the next few hours. South of that, it's rather isolated, and most of the region should stay on the dry side as we go through the next couple of hours. A little bit of action there, Lewis County, Fleming County, up into Mason County. Front is to our north and stalled out, separating the warm air from another front behind that low pressure that has a bigger push of cold temperatures. Now, hour-by-hour forecast for the evening that's upon us. This new run tries to get some of that thunderstorm action in southern Indiana into northern parts of Scott County, Harrison County, and points north from there. Then tomorrow, it's game on for everybody getting in on much-needed rains. As the rain chances go up, the temperatures go down. We'll show you just how low they can go in just a few.
Extra security today on the campus of a Central Kentucky high school. Attendance was also down at Madison Central High School after worries about children's safety prompted by rumors. School leaders say a group of students got into a fight at the school last week and were suspended. But then they say rumors spread that there would be another altercation among the suspended students when they came back to school today.
As those rumors escalated and became bigger and broader, we decided it was best to go ahead and do some investigating of our own. Our investigations had shown that really this was an unfounded rumor.
Madison County schools are planning to have added security at Madison Central High for the remainder of the week.
A Middlesboro woman says there was hardly any warning when her car suddenly burst into flames last night. Our county-by-county coverage at 5:30 begins in Bell County. Woman Mosley says she was drinking a cup of coffee when she heard a loud boom from her car. She ran outside to start it. When it made another noise, she went back to call 911. That's when the car caught fire. By the time firefighters arrived, it was too late to save it.
The car was fully involved. There was flames protruding from front and rear. Very hot, a lot of smoke, a lot of bystanders around.
I've not got no transportation no more, and I love that old car. It was old Ford, but I loved it. It got me around.
Well, no one was injured from the blast. The cause of that fire is still under investigation. In Lawrence County, 2 people are dead after an early morning crash. It happened around 6:30 this morning on Highway 23 and Kentucky 645. Dispatchers say a flatbed truck and PT Cruiser crashed. 2 people in the PT Cruiser died. The driver of the truck was taken to the hospital. We do not know the extent of that person's injuries. And in Woodford County, a stretch of I-64 in Woodford County was shut down for hours following a deadly crash. Police say a semi-driver crashed into an embankment about 9 last night near Midway. The passenger, 37-year-old David Scott from Arizona, was killed. We've learned the driver is okay. The westbound lanes were closed until about 6 this morning.
Governor Bevin is asking a state judge to reverse his ruling last month banning the governor from abolishing and replacing the University of Louisville Board of Trustees. Attorneys for the governor say the judge incorrectly summarized the governor's arguments and used inaccurate interpretations of prior court rulings to form his opinion. The judge said he would consider the arguments and issue a ruling soon. Kentucky's Attorney General Andy Beshear, along with the U.S. Postal Service, announcing a campaign today aiming to protect consumers from scams.
Scam Alerts is a text messaging and email service that can directly warn Kentuckians about scams popping up around the state. Sabira Rayford has more on the program in a story that's new at 5:30.
Beshear says scam alerts are going to prevent popular scams from gaining momentum in Kentucky. He says already 25 organizations are on board. The main goal of the campaign is to help Kentuckians avoid mail scams. A news release provided by the Attorney General's office cited that last year more than 3 million consumers were conned out of $765 million across the country. Posters on how to sign up for the alerts will be posted in more than 500 post offices across Kentucky. Scam alerts will work as a direct text, direct email alerting system that will alert consumers on popular scams going around in the area. Beshear says the alerts will provide an option to get more detailed information on scams and tips on how to avoid them. He says during his time as Attorney General, he has seen the financial loss a scam can cause.
And even if you don't think that you would be someone that would fall for a scam, you need to sign up, because you never know when you'll be at lunch or at the office talking with someone who will tell you a story. And you will be the only person standing in between them falling for a scam and you being able to identify it and protect them.
He says if someone contacts you looking for a large amount of money in cash or gift cards, that should be an immediate red flag. In Lexington, Sabira Rayford, WKYT.
For more information on scam alerts and how to enroll, just visit our website, WKYT.com.
The skies could become a little friendlier. The Obama administration is proposing some new rules to protect you, the airline passenger. From delayed flights,
A nightmare.
to long security lines.
What are we? We're people. We're humans. We're not cattle.
Flying can be a frustrating experience. Now the Transportation Department is proposing new rules to ease some of that pain, starting with luggage. The government already requires carriers refund checked bag fees when luggage is lost. The new rules would go a step further and include refunds for bags that are substantially delayed. Also, when it comes to flight delays, airlines would not only have to report their own delays, but their regional partners as well. And there could be more transparency when you buy a ticket online. Sites that sell airline tickets would be prohibited from favoring one airline and not showing all available ticket prices. Not everyone is happy with the proposal. Airlines for America, a pro-airline trade organization, caution the rules could harm customers by re-regulating how airlines sell their products, driving up the cost of air travel. Some of the new rules will take effect in the coming months. Others have yet to be finalized. Now, the rules also require the airlines to admit more mistakes, like how often they fail to properly help customers who need wheelchairs.
A Kentucky business is looking to hire military veterans for some important jobs. That story coming up in just under 6 minutes here on WKYT.
I'm Bill Bryant. The final presidential debate is tonight, and the stakes are high. And is Kentucky holding down the vote with laws that are not allowing early voting and automatic registration? The bottom line is ahead.
Up with the latest news on WKYT.com. Join the conversation on Twitter and become a part of the WKYT Facebook family.
The election is just under 3 weeks away, but early voting is underway in more than 30 states.
More than 2 million voters have already cast their ballots. Bill Bryant has the details in the bottom line.
Good evening. We are just over 3 hours away from the final presidential debate of this interesting campaign year. Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump are preparing for that showdown that will be broadcast live here on WKYT at 9 o'clock tonight. Focus is the advice from Donald Trump's campaign manager, Kellyanne Conway, ahead of tonight's final face-to-face encounter. She also acknowledges that Trump needs a comeback. Many Republican strategists are hoping Trump will zero in on Hillary Clinton's weaknesses and try to stop Democrats from picking up Senate and House seats on November 8th. Meanwhile, a Clinton campaign spokesman says the former Secretary of State will be ready for whatever scorched earth attacks and criticisms might come her way. Clinton has spent several days getting ready for the debate and is said to be prepared to face more questions about emails and her authenticity. In some states that allow early voting, the lines are long. It's estimated that close to half of the electorate there will be voting by Election Day. Look at this crowded parking lot in Georgia, where voters are letting their choices be known now. Kentucky does not allow automatic early voting. Instead, those voting absentee have to go and swear that something will keep them from being able to show up at the polls between 6 and 6 on Election Day. Secretary of State Allison Lundergan Grimes favors legislation that would allow early voting in the Commonwealth. She pushed for that in the legislature, but it died there. Some states are making it easier for voters not only to vote but to be registered. A UK law professor says Kentucky should adopt legislation that would make registration automatic.
You are registered to vote unless you opt out. And that's a much better system that Kentucky should adopt, because we shouldn't have all of these hurdles to exercise the fundamental right in our democracy, the most important, cherished right that we have in a democracy. Why put up these hurdles when they do no good? They only do harm.
Now, on allegations for a potentially rigged election, Professor Douglas, who researches election law, says because of safeguards in place, it is simply not possible for enough voter fraud to occur to throw the results of a presidential election. Republican Congressman Andy Barr is running for re-election. He faces Democratic challenger Nancy Jo Kemper, and Barr is confirmed as my guest for this weekend's edition of Kentucky Newsmakers. We interviewed Kemper a couple of weeks ago. Bill Bryant, WKYT.
A Kentucky electric company is turning to veterans to fill some important jobs. East Kentucky Power held a job fair for veterans at their Cooper Power Station in Pulaski County today. Officials say they're looking to fill jobs with people that have a certain set of skills. They say many times veterans have the discipline and work ethic that's perfect for jobs in the electrical industry.
Sometimes it's real hard to find the right people to fill a role. And our folks were sitting around talking one day, and they said, you know, there's a lot of veterans out there who are looking for work, and a lot of them have the skills that we're looking for.
Another job fair will take place Friday at the East Kentucky headquarters in Winchester.
Now, your hour-by-hour forecast with Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey.
We got a front that is draped across northern parts of the Ohio Valley, northern parts of Kentucky, southern Ohio Valley, and that's leading to quite the temperature spread out there from record highs from Lexington into parts of southern Kentucky to 78 right now into Covington. You know what? On any ordinary warm spell like this, 78 would be just crazy. You get to 85, 86, 87, now you're going berserk on us, huh? Look at our live sky cam. A little bit of cloud cover showing up on that northern horizon. We are noticing the fall colors that are doing their thing already. Thunderstorms, a couple of big clusters here south of Indianapolis. We've had some warnings with those, and indications are that that's going to impact northern Kentucky over the next couple of hours. So we'll watch Owen County, maybe northern Scott County, Harrison County, and points north from there for the possibility of a few strong thunderstorms working in over the next couple of hours. And this is all part of a setup that has this warm air that is firmly entrenched across Kentucky. It's hot for this time of year. For me, the term hot is seasonal. This type of weather in July, you wouldn't call it hot. You'd call it normal. This type of weather in October, this is downright hot. Colder air coming in behind this low pressure that is the change maker as we go into the day tomorrow. Hour by hour forecast, indeed, picking up on those thunderstorms impacting northern Kentucky. We go through tonight and early tomorrow morning. Let's say you wake up and it's not raining. That'll change as we go toward your lunchtime hour. Thunderstorms will increase. Cue the next little cluster of thunderstorms. Second half of tomorrow. Wouldn't be surprised if we don't pop a strong or local severe thunderstorm at some point tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, as that colder air blasts its way on in. Look at 11 o'clock now. Those thermometers are dropping. Another slug of rain comes in tomorrow night into early Friday. Friday, we're going to start it out damp, dreary, noontime, still some leftover showers. Eastern Kentucky, clouds around, little increase in sunshine, 50s for an afternoon high temperature, and a quick drop into the 40s, high school football fans, for those games on Friday evening. And with a gusty wind, it's going to feel a lot colder than that. 30s when we wake up Saturday morning, but with windy weather, don't expect a lot of frost with the 30s to begin the day on Saturday. Rainfall totals, models are trying to pinpoint a couple of hot spots here of greater than an inch or two of rain. Now that'll change with the next update because they kind of fluctuate a little bit, but it gives you an idea that some locally very heavy rains are a possibility with any thunderstorm that goes up tonight or certainly for the day tomorrow. I get out of the way and I show you the best part of that forecast. Yeah, we get the rain, and then we get some very nice weather that will follow that into the first half of next week. 60s for highs. 40s for lows, normal. Haven't said that in a long, long time, but we may actually be there for a day or two next week, guys.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Chris.
You bet.
Live look at Lexington rush hour traffic this afternoon. Police have cleared the collision on Southland Drive. That one's out of the way. The one on Nicholasville Road just before Southland, still showing one lane block there. No major delays on the circle right now. The heaviest traffic is on the outer loop approaching Leestown over to Versailles Road. Drive times to Versailles, less than 12 minutes or so. To Nicholasville, 15. Now back to you in the studio.
Just ahead, the Cats take their turn at SEC Media Days.
The players and coaches gathering in Nashville this year. We will hear from Cal and Isaac Humphreys. And the Wildcats receivers would like to be catching more footballs, but they've still played an important role in the run game. Sports up next on WKYT. SEC coaches and players down in Nashville today, and within the last hour, John Calipari taking questions from the media, SEC Media Day. Brian Milam is on hand at Bridgestone Arena.
Good afternoon from Nashville, Tennessee, the site of this year's SEC Basketball Media Day. John Calipari bringing with him Isaiah Briscoe and Isaac Humphreys, the Cats arriving just a little while ago. But what else can you say about this Kentucky team the rest of the nation does not already know? The Cats with yet another top-rated recruiting class, picked to win the SEC, ranked in the top 3 or 4 in the country. So how does John Calipari motivate guys with such lofty expectations?
They come to get better. Their numbers don't matter. And they want to compete against other really good players every day. And so when they walk in, if they're not ready to practice, you're getting beat. And you get pushed to the curb. You better compete.
So we're going to be good at defense. I mean, we're fast. Like, we've kind of got all the little ingredients to be a really good team. So, I mean, a weakness may develop, but it's really not looking like it at the moment. So
it's coming up in about a half an hour. We will hear more from John Calipari and the Wildcats here in Nashville at the SEC Basketball Media Day. Reporting from the Music City, I'm Brian Milam, WKYT.
Thank you, Brian. And Friday night, the annual Blue-White game down in Rupp Arena. It will be at 7 o'clock. It's on the SEC Network. Going into Saturday's game with Mississippi State, Kentucky has been running the ball really well. Mark Stoops said he knows his team has to throw it better. Now, Kentucky's receivers would like to be catching more balls. But just listen to receivers coach Lamar Thomas. His players play a key role in making that run game go.
You know, if the ball's not being thrown your way, I mean, as a receiver, we are a little, you know. But you have to deal with it, and your time will come. As long as you're doing your job, you're getting after people, you're blocking. You know, I always say the long touchdown runs happen because of us.
Our offensive line doing a great job getting it started, and then our perimeter blocking with our receivers is excellent. Once our running backs get past the line, they're able to make moves off of our receivers, getting them down the field 20, 30, 40 yards.
And the Cats ran the ball for 258 yards against Vanderbilt. Right now, they are ranked 7th in the SEC in rushing, about 186 yards per game. Back in action at Commonwealth Stadium Saturday night, 7:30 kickoff. The game with Mississippi State is on the SEC network. Cats picked to win the SEC title down in Nashville. 4 Wildcats received preseason All-SEC honors. We'll have all of that and much more coming up in the next half hour. Stay with us.